We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, Malma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. The We Heal as One Center Philippine Arena sent home on Sunday 180 recovered patients from COVID-19. It's the biggest single-day tally of survivors released in a We Heal as One Center. A send-off ceremony was held for the recovered patients, led by National Action Plan Against COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon, Bureau of Quarantine Director and Facility Manager Dr. Roberto Obet Salvador Jr., Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA Administrator Hans Leo Kakdak, and Department of National Defense Undersecretary Cesar Llano. The survivors were mostly overseas Filipino workers from the Middle East and Europe, while some are members of the Philippine Coast Guard and other patients from the National Capital Region. They stayed at the 300-bed capacity We Heal as One Center Philippine Arena, one of the quarantine facilities put up by the government in partnership with the private sector for patients who have mild or no symptoms. Buses were provided in transporting the survivors to their respective home destinations from the Philippine Arena facility. No coronavirus deaths on Sunday, according to a poll. Majority are opposed to the opening of the country to international travelers. Joining us live from Bangkok is Gretchen Kusadsad. Hello, Gretchen.
Hi, Emma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gretchen.
Yes, we have new updates here in Bangkok, Thailand. According to Bangkok Post, Thailand added one new coronavirus case imported from Japan and continued its streak of no local transmission. The Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, or CCSA, said on Sunday. The new case brought the confirmed total to 3,217, with the death tolls remaining at 58. The country has found no local transmission for the virus for 48 consecutive days. Meanwhile, Alma, a majority of people are still opposed to opening of the country to foreigners who are not infected with COVID-19, reasoning that the global coronavirus situation is still very serious, according to a survey carried out by the National Institute of Development Administration, or NIDAPOL. A majority, which is 55.32%, disagreed with the program, saying those admitted could be carriers and cause a second wave of the pandemic. While Thailand already has many infections imported by Thai returnees from abroad, and some said the situation does not yet warrant the entry of foreigners, even if they have health certificates. On the other side, 23.10 agreed, saying this would enhance the reputation of Thai medical facilities and spur the economy. And 21.58% moderately agreed, reasoning that measures taken by Thailand had proved effective against the COVID-19 spread. Another one is the CU, or the Chula COVID-19, a novel coronavirus vaccine being developed by the research team in collaboration with the University of Pennsylvania, is expected to enter mass production by the end of the third quarter next year. Non-human primates which received the second dose of the vaccine displayed high levels of COVID-19 antibodies, which the research team called an encouraging sign in light of the upcoming human trials scheduled in October. According to the director of Chulalongkorn's Vaccine Research Center, the first phase of human trial is going to begin in October, followed by the second phase from December to March 2021. As the third phase of human trials requires over 10,000 participants for the goal to be valid, Thailand, due to its relatively low number of cases, will seek the cooperation of Brazil, India, and Indonesia to carry out the test. However, the test or the third phase can be skipped altogether if United States Food and Drug Administration or the FDA approves another mRNA vaccine for COVID-19 before the said vaccine. The research team also added that if the US FDA approves a vaccine before Thailand, Thai plants can mass produce the vaccines by the third quarter of next year. That is the latest report here, Alban.
All right. Thank you very much, Gretchen, for your updates there in Bangkok.
Thank you. Reporting from Bangkok, and this is what Rusad said. We live in interesting times.
Now let's go to our EBC Sri Lanka Bureau, where Vanessa Viloria joins us live, and Sri Lanka will delay the reopening of its airport amidst a spike in cases of coronavirus. Vanessa.
Hi, good afternoon, Alma. Good afternoon to everyone.
Okay, I think Vanessa, okay, I think we're having audio problems.
Hello, Alma.
Okay, we'll try and get back with Vanessa in a few minutes and get a better connection. Okay, let's first go to Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, where Chriselle Acuna. Okay. The government is mulling work from home for civil service workers. Joining us live from Malaysia Bureau is Gail Aldos. Hello, Gail.
Hello, Alma. Here's the latest news here in Malaysia. Work from home as new normal option for civil servants being considered. The government is seriously considering whether to continue the work from home model as a new normal option for the civil service, Chief Secretary to the government, Datuk Seri Muhammad Zuki Ali said. However, he said the matter would need a more detailed study to ensure this option meets its objectives. He said in a written interview yesterday that two objectives were identified, namely to mitigate risks such as contamination and spread of diseases, and the other to manage employee performance by balancing work and family life and by improving job satisfaction level and productivity. Among the points that need to be studied further are digital technology support, information security, compatibility with specified service schemes, and legal implications as well, he said. Muhammad Zuki said in line with the government's initiative to consider implementing the work-from-home option as part of the new normal, other related benefits such as leave and holidays would also be assessed. Muhammad Zuki said, all these initiatives are part of efforts to ensure public servants continue to boost productivity in the context of current and changing external factors. He said the movement control order has shown the civil service can still function effectively even when the work from home and flexi work from home models were implemented. He said starting with a directive for work from home on all civil servants, it later shifted to only specific cases. He added in both situations, impact on productivity was minimal, and the civil service continued to support the reopening of the economic and business sectors. During that period, both these sectors operated on a capacity of almost 100% to ensure the national economy is regenerated. And this was achieved when civil servants continued to carry out their duties through both models. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Gail, for your updates there. Thank you, EBC Kuala Lumpur Bureau.
Reporting live from Kuala Lumpur, this is Gail Aldos. We live in interesting times.
A British pilot who spent more than 2 months on life support in Vietnam after contracting COVID-19 went home Sunday, astounding the doctors who gave him just 10% chance of survival. We have that update from Ralph Wandolph Empire.
Vietnam's most critically ill COVID-19 patient, a British pilot who later developed other severe health complications, was declared free of COVID-19 on Monday. All the doctors said he's fit for discharge and no longer needs to stay in quarantine. He is still being kept at Chorray Hospital in Ho Chi Minh City for physical therapy. Stephen Cameron is set to return to his country by a special repatriation flight on Sunday, the health ministry said.
By the generosity of the Vietnamese people, the dedication and professionalism of the doctors and nurses, both here at the Chow Ray and at the Tropical Disease Hospital. The odds say that I shouldn't be here, so I can only thank everybody here for doing what they've done. And I go home with a happy heart because I'm going home. But with a sad.
Vietnam will allocate 3 doctors to accompany a British pilot on his flight back to the UK on Sunday. Doctors will carry 6 oxygen tanks and specialized medical equipment to ensure they could respond immediately to any health issues the patient may develop during the journey, expected to last 15 hours. Now, in other news, over 200 Vietnamese workers in Africa seeking for repatriation amid COVID-19. The workers, including many infected with COVID-19, are working at Senje hydropower plant. They have come to the Republic of Guinea under the contract signed by the UK's Douglas Alliance and Vietnam's CM Vietnam and LILA-MA10. Earlier, a representative from CM Vietnam said that 15 had tested positive for COVID-19 for the first time. The result will be checked again to ensure accuracy. According to the Vietnamese embassy in Angola and the Republic of Guinea, the embassy was informed of the case by CM Vietnam and LILA-MA10. The firms have cooperated with general contractors and local health agencies to conduct the COVID-19 prevention measures, including test and quarantine, so that the Vietnamese workers can return home as soon as possible. CM Vietnam and LILA-MA10 are required to keep a close eye on the workers in order to provide support and report to their family. Under the instruction of Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc, the Vietnamese Ministry of Foreign Affairs have been actively working with local agencies abroad and airlines to conduct flights to bring Vietnamese people in COVID-19 affected areas to home. To date, 51 flights of this kind have been provided, repatriating more than 12,000 people who have been all quarantined as regulated. This is Ralph Wandop Empire bringing you the latest updates here in Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Ralph. Meanwhile, the Khmer New Year holidays has been set on a new date. Plus, the latest coronavirus situation in Cambodia. Joining us live is Crystal Ann Ballesteros. Hello, Crystal Ann.
Hi, Almon. Good afternoon, and to all our viewers, that is correct. The postponed My New Year holidays will be set from August 17 to 21. Governments have obtained by command times. The decision comes from earlier this week, ordered the cabinet to convene and decide a date for the substitute holidays. In a voice message sent to the cabinet, Mr. Hun Sen said the government must compensate the public as promised. The COVID-19 situation in the kingdom is under control. By tradition, the Khmer New Year holidays take place in April, allowing the public a brief respite from work and giving them a chance to travel to their home provinces to celebrate. However, these activities were postponed with the onset of the pandemic. Meanwhile, Siem Reap province will have a laboratory for COVID-19 testing no later than the first week of August, the move that will broaden the access in the zone beyond the provincial boundary. This was Bonheng, Minister of Health, who was expecting the installation of the laboratory recently at the province. According to the Health Minister, the laboratory will help speed up process of COVID testing for Indians and foreigners visiting the areas. The second standard laboratory of Cambodia is equipped with Gen expert recommended by the World Health Organization and the Food and Drug Administration. Gen expert provides point-of-care option, allowing hospital and clinic to perform diagnostic tests in-house rather than sending them to outside laboratory. The ministry is also planning to establish COVID-19 testing laboratory in other provinces of Cambodia as well, Dr. Man Bonheng said. As of now, the health ministry has reported 15 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number in Cambodia to 156 cured is 133. A ministry press release yesterday said the new cases are Cambodian men aged between 21 and 33 who flew into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia via Malaysia on Friday. That's it for Cambodia news and update. Alma, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Crystal, for your updates there in Cambodia. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Like, Likewise, I am Crystal Ann Ballesteros from Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and we'll live with it.
All right. Thank you, Crystal Ann. Let's head on over to Sri Lanka, where Vanessa Viloria tells us that the reopening of the Sri Lanka airport will be delayed due to a spike in cases of the coronavirus. Hello, Vanessa.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon,
Good
and good
afternoon.
afternoon to everyone. Yes, Alma. Here's the latest update here in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka will delay the reopening of airports that have been remained shut since March 18, amidst a surge in coronavirus cases, officials said. Coronavirus soared to 2,612 on Sunday, yesterday, July 12, following the detection of a cluster in Kandakadu, with experts warning that the situation could lead to a second wave. Following the spike cases, authorities said the repatriation of Sri Lankan expatriates will also be suspended until further notice. At least 770 patients are among the infected people, according to Health Ministry. And for COVID-19 update, Alma, the number of patients tested positive for COVID-19 has surged up to 2,612. Accordingly, 101 new cases have been identified on Sunday, July 12. As of the present, 620 are under medical treatment, while 1,981 have been recovered from the contagion. That's the update, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Vanessa. Finally, I got to hear you. Thank you so much for your updates there in Sri Lanka. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting live from Sri Lanka, this is Vanessa Viloria Silva, and we live in interesting times.
Nearly 1,300 people at a military academy in Indonesia have tested positive for the coronavirus, according to an official, as the country struggles to contain the epidemic. Of the 1,280 confirmed infections, 991 are cadets, and the rest are staff and their family members. Most have no symptoms. The Indonesian Army Officer Candidate School in the country's most populated province of West Java has been quarantined, and 30 people more were initially hospitalized with mild symptoms, according to the Army's Chief of Staff, General Andika Perkasa. Of the 1,280 confirmed infections, 991 cadets, and the rest were staff and their family members. He said most had no symptoms. 17 were still in hospital on Saturday. The outbreak was first detected when 2 cadets went to a medical facility after complaining of fever and back pain. Both tested positive for COVID-19, sparking mass swab testing at the academy, which has 2,000 staff and cadets. It's not clear how the cadets were infected, according to Perkasa, but some staff live outside the military complex. The governor of West Java apologized for the outbreak and urged residents to restrict their movements in and out of the neighborhood where the academy is located until it is brought under control. Indonesia is the hardest hit country in Southeast Asia, with more than 74,000 known cases of the virus and over 3,500 deaths. And the real toll is widely believed to be much higher, However, with experts saying limited testing was understating the true scale of the crisis. The World Health Organization recently urged Indonesia to do more testing. All right, let's get the latest coronavirus situation in Vietnam. Joining us live is Chriselle Lacuna. Hello, Chriselle.
Hello, Alma.
Hi. Okay.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon to
Good
you.
afternoon.
Yes. Here's the latest from Vietnam. 2 new COVID-19 cases confirmed. Total rises to 372. The National Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention to 372. The latest patients are women who returned from Russia on July 9 on flight VN5062, said the committee. Patient 371 is a 36-year-old woman from Namsak district of the northern province of Haidong, while patient 372 is a 31-year-old woman from Hanoi's Mê Linh district. Upon returning to Vietnam, the pair were sent to a centralized quarantine camp in the Mekong Delta province of Bac Lieu. The nation is putting 11,000 people under medical surveillance to prevent the transmission of the virus, of whom 62 at hospitals, 41 at centralized quarantine facilities, and 406 at places of their residence. Another update, Alma, over 340 nationals repatriated from UK. A Vietnam Airlines flight carrying over 340 Vietnamese citizens from the UK landed at the Van Don Airport in Quang Ninh District province on July 13, according to the National Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control. The rescue mission was jointly conducted by the Vietnamese Embassy in the UK, Vietnamese competent agencies, and the national flag carrier Vietnam Airlines. The passengers included under 18-year-old children, the elderly, sick persons, pregnant women, and workers whose labor contracts had expired. Precautionary measures were implemented throughout the flight, and all the passengers and the crew members were medically checked and quarantined upon arrival after landing at the Van Don Airport. This is the 40th repatriation flight arranged since April 24, bringing home 10,996 Vietnamese citizens stranded abroad due to COVID-19. Today marks the 88th day without community transmission of the virus, keeping the tally at 372, including 232 imported cases on their arrivals.
All right, thank you very much, Chriselle, for your updates there in Vietnam. We wish we had more better audio. We had a better audio, we wished. But anyways, thank you so much, and you stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Alma, reporting live from Ho Chi Minh City. This is Chriselle Yakuna. We live in interesting times.
All right, ASEAN in Focus, we'll be right back.
All or nothing na ang magiging labanan sa tagisan ng galing. Dahil ang top 30 ay sasalain na para mabuo ang top 15 semi-finalist.
Sino ba sila? Karaniwang tao, saan katatakbo? Sumante ang pag-ibig mo. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for.
Tutukan niyan this weekend sa pinakamalawak na talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito ang Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. VetaPro Nutri-Choice, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutri-Choice. Magnolia Chicken Templados. Delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat. Pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda. Kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate NEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee. Masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matinco, Our Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation. East West Bank, your dream, our focus.
Hey, Aggression Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-made sugar-free white coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! San-made sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. The Department of Health reported the addition of 2,124 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the total confirmed infections to 56,259. Now, at the same time, the DOH also noted a record number of new recoveries at 2,009, bringing the total patients who recovered from the virus at 16,046. There were also 162 deaths reported as of July 12, according to the DOH on Monday, July 13. Now, this brings the total COVID-19 fatalities to 1,534. But Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeray said that majority of these deaths occurred the past 2 weeks, and she said 18 of the deaths occurred last week, while the 33 others occurred in the first week of July. The Department of Health also noted the total active cases, 38,679, most of which, 92.2%, are mild cases. Asymptomatic cases reached 7.1%, showing an increasing trend for asymptomatic patients. Metro Manila accounted for most of the newly announced cases with 459 cases, while Cebu followed with 273 new cases. Laguna was next with 71 cases, followed by Cavite with 35 new cases, and Rizal with 28 new cases. Ms. Vergeray said that the DOH is also doing harmonization and reconciling of cases and getting data straight from local government units, which accounted for the increased numbers of cases. She also said that their direct access and coordination with LGUs was a big help to the DOH, as this meant more accurate number of COVID-19 cases. Today, the DOH also changed its new way of reporting of COVID-19 with a more comprehensive infographics reflecting various data on virus cases, such as the percentages of active cases and the top provinces where the new cases had been reported. In other news, news site Malaysia Kini's editor-in-chief arrived at court for a hearing as one of the two countries' leading independent news portals faces contempt of court proceedings over reader comments on its site that were critical of the Malaysian judiciary. The federal court will hear the contempt of court proceedings against Malaysia Kini at the Palace of Justice in Putrajaya, which could see the independent news portal being slapped with the fine of its editor-in-chief, Stephen Gan, jailed. On July 2, a 7-member bench of the Apex Court dismissed Malaysia Kini's application filed by its operator, mkini.com, to set aside the leave granted to Attorney General Idrus Harun to initiate the contempt proceedings. Gan, who co-founded Malaysia Kini together with Chief Executive Officer Premesh Chandran in 1999, vowed that the portal would vigorously fight the contempt charge. Idrus had initiated the contempt proceedings over 5 readers' comments in a Malaysia Kini news report published on June 9, which have since been removed. The Attorney General argued that the comments had scandalized the court and caused an erosion of public confidence in the judiciary. The hearing comes a day after Malaysian police questioned Al Jazeera journalists over a documentary about the plight of migrants, which had angered the government. The investigation into the Qatar-based networks program added to concerns about the widening media crackdown in the Southeast Asian nation. More than a dozen countries have called for urgent action to solve a seafaring crisis that has left some 200,000 container ship crew stranded at sea due to the pandemic. Now, in a joint statement after a virtual summit hosted by Britain on Thursday, the country said it was vital for global trade that the crews awaiting repatriation be allowed to move. They said, quote, the inability of ship operators worldwide to conduct ships' crew changes is the single most pressing maritime operational challenge to the safe and efficient movement of global trade. More than 80% of global trade is moved via the maritime transportation system, they noted. Hundreds of thousands of seafarers have been stranded since March because operators have only been able to undertake a quarter of the usual crew changes that would have taken place. Many crew members have not been allowed to disembark for fear of spreading the virus at various ports around the world. As well as the 200,000 stranded at sea, a similar number of crew are estimated to be ashore waiting to replace them. The countries called on states to recognize seafarers as key workers and ease paperwork for stranded crew so that they can disembark. The statement was signed by Britain, Denmark, France, Germany, Greece, Indonesia, Netherlands, Norway, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, and the United States. In other news, the Netherlands said it would take Russia to the European Court of Human Rights for its role in bringing down Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 over Ukraine, killing nearly 300 people. Foreign Minister Stef Blok said that the Dutch government's move is designed to support cases brought by the relatives of dozens of victims to the Strasbourg-based court. The Boeing 777 traveling from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur was blown out of the sky by a surface-to-air missile fired from rebel-held eastern Ukraine on July 17, 2014. Mr. Blok said in a statement, achieving justice for the 298 victims of the downing of flight MH17 is and will remain the government's highest priority. There was no immediate reaction from Moscow. The lawsuit is a rare example of one state taking another to the European Court of Human Rights, with just 24 such cases since 1953. 10 of those so-called interstate cases involve Russia. Most cases are brought by individuals or groups, such as the one lodged by the relatives of at least 65 Dutch MH17 victims in 2018. Their complaint demanded that Russia take responsibility for the incident. Both the Netherlands and Australia have previously said They hold Russia responsible for shooting down the plane. Russia has denied involvement and has before proposed alternative theories, including that MH17 may have been downed by a Ukrainian fighter plane or a Ukrainian Buk missile. Moscow, meanwhile, responded to the relatives' claims before the ECHR, or the European Court of Human Rights, earlier this year, in which it again denied responsibility for the disaster, saying there was no proof of its involvement. ASEAN in Focus will be right back. AirAsia boss Tony Fernandez insisted that the top budget carrier would emerge stronger from the coronavirus pandemic, despite a warning about its future, and said that the airline was hopeful of raising a sizable cash injection. Mr. Fernandez said the coronavirus was by far the toughest challenge AirAsia had ever faced, but he also sought to strike to a positive note. Take a look.
You know, I never would have believed the aviation industry could be hit this hard. But, you know, we're still standing, we're still flying, we still have good load factors. And so, you know, this won't go on forever. And I think we'll come out stronger. And, you know, we're not wasting this crisis, we're taking opportunities. But we've been looking at about 7.5% across the group. 7.5%. We hope that's it, but we can't predict exactly. We'll have to do what we have to do to save this airline. It's the worst thing in the world to do. We hope to raise more than 1 billion, and excluding asset sales, etc. So, you know, the 2 billion figure is a number that we're targeting over a period of 6 months. Right? The fact is, after 2 months, we're 50% of where we were pre-COVID in domestic. So business can come back much quicker. I mean, I think long-haul international travel is going to take a while. Flying is not going to disappear. And if anything, airfares are going to go up a little bit, but not to a crazy level for us to kill demand, but enable us to have a very good margin, because pricing is now much more reasonable.
Last week, AirAsia reported a record quarterly loss of 803 million ringgit for the first 3 months of the year, after being forced to ground its fleet due to the virus. Auditor Ernst Young said that global travel restrictions had dented AirAsia's financial performance, with liabilities exceeding assets by 1.84 billion ringgit. The company is just recovering from a crisis it faced earlier this year when Mr. Fernandez stepped aside as the authorities probed unusual payments at the airline as part of a $4 billion graft scandal involving European plane maker Airbus. He returned to his post in March after being cleared by an independent investigation. The flamboyant Mr. Fernandez has carved an image for himself as Asia's answer to Richard Branson, shaking up Southeast Asian air travel with his carrier's slogan, "Now everyone can fly." He hasn't been shy in flaunting his wealth and is the co-owner of London football club Queen's Park Rangers. Tech-savvy population, a fast-growing economy, and the perks of being first in an emerging market. Vietnamese entrepreneur Lee Tan saw the potential in booming Ho Chi Minh City for his startup transforming coffee grounds into masks. And the 35-year-old chemistry graduate worked for two multinationals before stepping out on his own 3 years ago to launch Shoe X, a sustainable footwear company which nimbly pivoted to masks as the coronavirus pandemic struck. Take a look.
Đế giày da mọi thứ đều sản xuất ở Việt Nam thì cái môi trường nó ngày càng ô nhiễm. Nhưng mà ngay lập tức mình chuyển qua một cái sản phẩm khác và mong chờ họ trải nghiệm và họ thay đổi cái nhận thức thì rất là khó. Thì việc mà dùng cà phê để cái sản phẩm đi xa hơn và người tiêu dùng người ta cảm thấy nhẹ nhàng hơn trong cái vật liệu và họ nhận thức, họ trải nghiệm nó thì cũng sẽ dễ dàng.
Điều đấy, tại bọn mình hiểu là để chuyển từ băng vệ sinh thường sang băng vệ sinh vải thì nó là sự thay đổi liên quan đến nhận thức. Đầu tiên là thay đổi nhận thức, xong rồi thay đổi tới hành động. Mà cái hành động mà băng vệ sinh vải nó không phải là một hành động nhỏ, nó là cả một cái lối sống của họ và sẽ thay đổi rất là nhiều trong cuộc sống sinh hoạt hàng ngày thì họ mới có thể.
Also, Vietnamese e-commerce and e-payment companies have been flooded with private equity in the past couple of years, according to Eddie Tai, a Ho Chi Minh City-based partner at venture capital firm 500 Startups. Their rise has been stellar. Vietnam-based startups made up 18% of $741 million of the capital invested in Southeast Asia in 2019, up from 4% in 2018, according to a report by Cento Ventures. Although Indonesia remains the leader, the amount pumped into Vietnam startups pushed ahead of Singapore for the first time in 2019, according to the venture capital firm. The gold rush comes in spite of cumbersome regulations for foreigners, according to Thai, making it difficult to invest and repatriate capital last year. Popular e-wallet platform VNPay reportedly snagged the largest deal in Southeast Asia, attracting $300 million from SoftBank's Vision Fund and Singapore's Sovereign Wealth Fund GIC. And although Thai said investment had paused due to the coronavirus pandemic, Vietnam is well placed to bounce back. Its economy unexpectedly grew in the second quarter, and the International Monetary Fund predicts a 2.7% expansion for the year despite the global downturn. The country also has a huge pool of software engineers who cost substantially less than their Indian or Chinese peers. And unlike the tech talent in wealthy startup hubs such as San Francisco or London, Eddie Tai, a Ho Chi Minh City-based partner at venture capital firm 500 Startups, says they understand what consumers in the emerging world want. Meanwhile, Asian markets rose Monday, recovering some of the losses at the end of last week as investors followed a strong performance on Wall Street fueled by hopes for a coronavirus vaccine, though a spike in infections around the world capped gains. Trillions of dollars in government support is keeping equities well supported, but confidence is being strangled by the spread of the disease, with an explosion of cases forcing some countries to reimpose containment measures just weeks after easing lockdowns. Traders are also looking ahead to the corporate earnings season, which will reveal how companies fared during the second quarter when economy-sapping lockdowns were imposed around the planet. Tokyo led the gains, adding 1.7% in the morning session, while Hong Kong added 0.6% and Shanghai put on 0.5%, with Seoul and Sydney also climbing more than 1%. Jakarta rose 0.8%, Taipei gained 1%, and Wellington added 0.6%. Singapore and Manila were slightly lower. In other news in the ASEAN region, conservationists warned that a sudden change in Myanmar's law allowing the commercial farming of endangered species such as tigers, pangolins, and others risk further fueling demand in China for rare wildlife products. Take a look. And finally, in our news, an Indonesian doctor runs a facility that shelters about 1,400 dogs, many of which were rescued from slaughterhouses with their mouths and legs tied, abandoned or sold during the pandemic. Susana Somali, the shelter owner, has launched a Herculean mission to end the country's long criticized dog meat trade. Take a look.
Tapi bagaimana negara maju bisa menerapkannya secara undang-undang, secara hukum? Ya kan nggak kenal kamu. Ada anjing hamil yang air matanya keluar ketika mau dipotong. Itu perkenalan saya pertama dengan para jagal ini. Akhirnya saya ke sana dan kebukalah jaringan-jaringan itu. Tentunya saya belum bisa buka semua karena nanti akan menyulitkan gerakan kita kan. Sinar matanya hewan ini akan bilang, saya waktunya sudah mau selesai. Saya harus pergi, saya sudah tidak kuat. Saya harus ibu harus melanjutkan perjuangan dan ibu harus tidak boleh patah semangat, itu dari sinar matanya kelihatan.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.